Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Today, I have been waiting to talk to her for years. She's a mom, a wife, a lawyer, prison reform advocate, and the star of Real Housewives of Orange County, where she will be on her 8th season. The show premieres its 19th season on July 10th. She also has an excellent podcast with her husband, Shane Simpson, called Legally Brunette, as part of the Two T's in a Pod empire. Today, we have Emily Simpson with us. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ryan. It's good to see you.
It's good. It's great to see you. I was just telling Emily before we started, I really love your podcast with your husband, and you explain like kind of true crime. You were explaining to Shane Sherry Papini, and you have all of the information, and then Shane just throws in kind of funny comments, and I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't even go into that podcast thinking that that was going to be our dynamic. It just kind of evolved that way, and I get so much positive feedback that people just love. One, that I do all the research, so I know what I'm talking about. And then Shane just gets to be Shane, and he just gets to ask the questions and have his witty banter and add in his, sound bites that are funny. So,
but you can see the dynamic between you two. It's actually really enjoyable, especially when it comes to true crime, because you were talking about Karen Reed last episode. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I would love to talk to you about true crime for this next 20 minutes, but we do have to talk about Orange County. And I was always wondering, in your mind, when you go into a new season, where are you mentally? Because you've already shot the season. You know what's happened. You don't know how it's going to be edited into the storylines. And then the audience grabs a hold of it. The memes start, the conversations. Where are you at mentally going into this season?
I will tell you what I've learned to have sanity and being on a reality TV is I have a lot of boundaries. And so when I'm done filming, I kind of remove myself from it. And I actually don't watch the episodes. I don't know if you know that, but that's like a common thing I talk about. I don't watch the episodes. Shane watches them. He watches it multiple times. He'll give me like a Cliff Notes version of what happened. There's a lot of times he'll come to me and be like, oh, you didn't look good in this episode, or you're okay. I think you're safe this week, or no, you're going to get a lot of crap this week. So I have like kind of a gauge of like where I'm at. But other than that, I feel like it's just really important. I just kind of withdraw and I go back into that mom mode. I feel like my kids during those 4 months that we're filming, I feel like I have to neglect them a little bit. And so I just get right back into taking care of my kids and being a mom and being a wife. You know what? I can't help what the editing is. I don't complain about the editing. I just film the show, and whatever is out there is out there. And I just let it be.
I think that's why you've lasted this long and why we like you is because you are actually a real housewife. You are a mom. You have all of this life and you go back to your life in between seasons. And I think that's really refreshing nowadays, especially when it comes to Housewives. But so you haven't watched this premiere episode.
No, I have no idea. But that's interesting that you said that, because Shane has said that to me, that he goes, you're actually a housewife because you actually own a house and you're married. And that's like not.
God, by the way, it's not in vogue to be an actual married person with kids on the Housewives anymore.
Right.
So okay. So the first episode, I think you come out swinging, but in a fiercely protective way, as a mom would do. And, obviously I was telling the audience, if you loved last season, it starts off kind of almost like a feeling of The Next Day without Johnny J and Alexis, but it's the same cast that I think you guys were so great together for the most part last season. But this episode is really starting the Katie Janella of it all. And you have like a whole list of things that you wrote down that are suspicious about Katie. And that's what I've been trying to understand. And I think the audience is going to want to understand better is it seems like she's making a lot of weird moves behind the scenes that the audience doesn't see on camera. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And I would say that that's the biggest issue, because I feel like with reality TV and Housewives, you can be a villain, you can be, shady. We all are to a certain extent. But the point is that you do it on camera. I mean, look at Tamara. Tamara's like the longest running housewife. And I would say, she's like your typical villain, right? But I respect her. And I think the audience, even if they dislike her a lot of the time, there is a respect there that everything she does on camera. I
will say that's exactly how I feel about Tamara, is that I do think
Yeah.
she is a reality show villain. And I've told her this, but I also think, like, my God, this is kind of what we show up for, is that she
Mhm.
does these conversations on camera. It
Mhm.
is interesting, though, because she will throw people under the bus. You've been thrown
Mhm.
under the bus before.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys are in a great place right now. But the
Mhm.
Katie is, I'm just trying to understand all of that, because it
Mhm.
seems like everybody has a very similar opinion that she's a sniper
Mhm.
from the side.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how that plays out
Mhm.
throughout this season. But you were very angry with her in like one of the scenes in the first episode. And I was wondering, where are you with Katie right now? Or will we see that play out this season?
Um, I don't. I'm nowhere with Katie. I'm not friendly with Katie. I don't have any desire to have a relationship with someone that crosses certain boundaries. And I do understand it's reality TV, and we've done, all of us have taken our digs or taken our hits with other people. And I've fought with Heather, and I've fought with people, but at the end of the day, we do have these boundaries, and
Yeah.
we've drawn lines, and we respect them. We all respect them. And when someone doesn't respect those boundaries, even after they've been told what the boundaries are, like, hey, let me remind you what these boundaries are, and then they go behind closed doors in the dark and do deceitful things, I don't have any respect for that.
Yeah, no, and you make that known, and I think a lot of people are completely on your side with that sentiment. In fact, the first episode talks a lot about bloggers and not so much podcasts, but I think bloggers
Mhm.
are called podcasters and
Mhm.
vice versa nowadays,
Mhm.
and information is being given to them. So I want to be on a storyline on OC. Can you say something right now so we can be in an episode next season potentially? It could start right here.
Oh, you want you
Yeah, say something really damaging that we can actually
yeah.
use in season 20
Yeah.
of the Housewives.
Well,
But
here's how you have to do it, Ryan. I have to get on your Instagram, and then I have to send you information about someone that's sensitive that I didn't bring up on camera, and then you have to publish it. So that's how you have to do it.
well, it is so funny because I come from this world, but I'm so bad at with my DMs, and I don't go searching or fishing for information. So it's
Mhm.
really interesting when that becomes a part of it. And I imagine, since you've been here 8 seasons, it is funny how much more that's become a thing of people in the DMs with like fans and podcasters and bloggers,
Yeah.
much more so than like a decade ago. And is that something that also you have to keep an eye on? Because you even say, like, you almost had to hire a lawyer in regards to one of these situations.
Well, I did.
Yeah, well, I did. I didn't know if I was allowed. Yeah, so
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I did, because it's a real problem. And the issue is it's difficult enough to be on a reality TV show with a family and children and a husband and deal with other women. That's why we do have these boundaries that are in place, and I feel like we do abide by them. And when someone doesn't, and they go outside of that, then that's what's scary, because it's hard enough to deal with the public and the public opinion. It's hard enough to deal with all the comments and the DMs and the tweets, and we don't need to add an added layer of now other people that we need to be concerned about. So the
yeah.
fact that, and you're right, now it's become, these housewife blogger people are now inserting themselves into the episodes.
I know,
And
it's
that's,
so.
it's like I already have enough to deal with the other women. And now there's like new people.
Yeah, yeah, you didn't get added as a friend of. Come on.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about your podcast because it's almost like a trial where it's like, can we get this admitted to court? It's like
Mhm.
what you can prove and what you can actually show, and it's made things a little more complicated, I would imagine, in the scenarios. Now,
Mhm.
Annabelle, your daughter's a star, by the way. I hope we see more of Annabelle this season. You
I
have.
hope you don't. I tell you, I've said this. I will film with the women all day and not even think twice about it. But if I have to film with Annabelle, I get heart palpitations. Like, I start to get nervous because she's 12 and she's sassy, and I have no idea what she's going to say. I don't know if she's going to throw me under the bus or say something I don't want her to say, or
Move
I'm
over,
like,
Tamara.
I have
Annabelle's coming. Yeah.
no idea. I'm so fearful of filming with her.
It's very smart. It's wise. We have the return of Gretchen Rossi this season. And how was that? Because, she had, I think, seasons 4 through 8. And I
Mhm.
believe that was before you started with Orange County, obviously.
Mhm.
But what was your take on her going in? And then did it change at all throughout the course of filming?
I've known Gretchen for years, and my perception of Gretchen was different than how she came in. I thought it would be different. So I think I was surprised a little, but I do give Gretchen a lot of credit because I feel as if she did take the time and effort to try to be friends, which is important. If you're coming into a friend group and you're new, you really do need to take the time to try to get to know the other women, to integrate yourself, to assimilate into the group. And I think that she did a really good job of that. The relationship with Tamra, that's so deep. I can't even, there aren't even really words to articulate that. I would just
Yeah.
say that it's not a go from point A to B. It doesn't make sense a lot of the time. It's a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes you think it's resolved and then you're like, that was stupid of me. I don't know why I thought that worked out. I mean, I think there's just so much history between the two of them that it keeps bubbling up. I don't know if either of them could ever get in a place where they were genuinely like, let's move on. I don't know.
I love that I hear that and I'm like, oh, that's going to make for good episodes. Like that's how, messed up I am where I'm like, that sounds
Yeah.
like good footage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if they just get in a room and resolve it on day one, that's not fun.
I don't know if I'm correct in this, but like, there are certain friends that I see on these shows and I'm like, you're show friends. And then there's certain friendships that go way beyond the show. And I feel like that's you with Gina. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that there are show friends or allies or people that just connect when they're filming because they kind of stay on the same page or whatever. Gina and I are genuinely friends. I would say we spend more time together when we're not filming than when we are filming. Because when we're filming, we don't always have control over exactly what we're doing. A lot of times it's like, she goes there, I'm here, or whatever. And they don't always want to see Gina and Emily together. And I get that. I mean, clearly we have to spread that out. We can't just bombard everybody with that. That's a lot. So we spend a lot of time together and it's real. And a lot of times it's like, we don't even remember to take photos or post stuff, even though we've been doing a lot of content together lately because we just act ridiculous. And it's mind-boggling to me that I'm going to be 50 and I look at some of the stuff that we post and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
But I think that's why people genuinely respond to you guys because you've always remained friends throughout. And I think it's one of those, we root for you the further you get into your Housewives career. And I don't know if you remember this, it was like a long time ago. It was like after your first season and I was at the Quiet Woman with Danny Pellegrino and a group of people and you and Gina came in and and then Shannon randomly came in as well. And that was back when you guys and Shannon didn't necessarily get along. And you're like, and I was like, wow, you guys have all come so far. How are you with Shannon and what has it been like to watch her journey this past season after the Johnny J stuff?
I love Shannon and I really rooted for her last season. I was really affected by what she was going through, the Alexis of it and the John Jansen of it. I thought it was so horrible and calculated and just the timing of everything. It really pushed me into defending her a lot, which isn't normal for me because usually Shannon and I kind of, butt heads. But and now she got through it and it's done and he's gone and Alexis is gone. So, I think Shannon has this new season of like, where is she at with all of that taken out of her life? And, she's fun. She's my favorite person to make fun of and imitate. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh my God.
And I love her because she's a good sport. She has a very self-deprecating personality. And I love that about her. We have so much fun together.
No, I mean, I thought that was so great that you did stand up for her last season because that was such a weird thing to have happen, and then like Lexus coming, I can't imagine somebody withstanding all of that. So it was great to see people behind her. I was just in Vegas with her on Sunday with the Jeff Lewis thing and I was playing blackjack with her and she was hysterical. I was like, this is fun Shannon.
She's a trip. She's funny.
Yeah. The other thing that gets brought up briefly in the first episode is that Tamra has to kind of apologize for coming out with being on the spectrum, which she had said randomly on a podcast. And I just didn't know how you had taken that. And obviously you are going through your own journey with your family. Was that something that you immediately talked with Tamra about?
I didn't really have an in-depth conversation with Tamara about it and making a comparison between the two. The way I interpret what she did, just based upon my own knowledge and what I've gone through with my own family and my own personal, things going on, is here's what I think happened. I think she probably, she goes to therapy. She, talks about her life and how she feels and how she deals with things. And I think a therapist probably said to her, well, have you ever been tested? You could possibly be on the spectrum. And that's my own personal interpretation. She didn't tell me that, but I have a feeling that maybe that's how the conversation came up. And then I think she kind of probably heard that and went with that, because I know that it doesn't take a session and someone just says, you're on the spectrum. Like you have to do a lot of testing to come up with, a diagnosis, and it's very in depth. And, so I think she just jumped the gun, and I'm sure she regrets that now.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it comes up in the first episode. Ryan and Jen Padronti are back this season, and they were left in kind of a weird space at the very end, and Tamara was involved in that. And they're talking about planning their wedding, and Tamara's not invited. Are you invited to Jen and Ryan's wedding?
Well, I don't know if they have a wedding date yet. I mean, I'm sure they're still, I know they're still planning to get married. I do know it's difficult when they have children and they're trying to work schedules and everything. I would think I was invited. Jen and I are close. I mean, we're good friends. We don't have any issues. And I'll tell you, I genuinely like Jen because I feel like she's good on reality TV, because it's, in order to make it work and to be good, you have to be able to have the hard conversations, but you also have to be able to move forward. Yeah. And Jen's very good at that. She'll make me mad. I'll make her mad. We'll have our moments, and then literally we'll just move on. And that's
what it's supposed to be about, conflict resolution. And I think that's good that you can have people like that. I really like Jen. It's just interesting to see, what her story is going to be this season. And she's so close with Katie. And obviously Katie feels like this season is going to be embroiled with things that Katie has done. So I'm just curious how that will all play out. You take a lot of cast trips. I think New Orleans, Amsterdam. Was that a blast, or is it like a blast plus a lot of drama? Because we do see a crotch shot from Shannon at one point in the trailer.
Shannon had a lot of crotch shots. That wasn't the only one. I feel like I spent a lot of time covering up her hoo-ha.
Housewives After Dark. Nice.
This is a new Shannon. She doesn't have a man. She's dating a lot of different men. She's wearing short skirts. I'm always pulling her skirt down to cover her up. So, but I love that she's 61 and she's out there feeling herself and being confident, and, every event she has a different guy with her. I don't even know where they come from. I mean, good for her.
So at the blackjack table, she was flirting with the dealer. She was flirting with
I'm sure she was.
She was like, do you want to be on Love Hotel? And I was like, what? This is crazy.
Is there a season 2?
But overall, these were potentially fun trips. I mean, there's always drama involved, but it looks like, just from the small thing I saw in the trailer, it looks like there's a lot of fun being had this season as well as drama.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do a trip to New Orleans. How can you not have fun in New Orleans? Of course, there's drama, and I think everybody's going to, be very invested in everything that happens and goes down. But it's a fun town too. So, there's parades and there's all the culture and the voodoo. And I mean, it's fun. It's interesting. People are going to love it.
8 seasons ago, did you think you would still be here? Like when you started after your first season? I mean, did you think you would still be doing this? Because
after my first season, I didn't even know if I'd still be married. So let alone be on reality TV. I didn't know what was going on in my life. The answer is no, because I would say Shane and I struggled through probably the first 2 seasons. Yeah. COVID was the 3rd season, which was a difficult season.
Oh God, I forgot the COVID season was intense.
Right. And then Shane got COVID, and that was really bad, and he was hospitalized. So I didn't even know if he was going to live to my 4th season. So then the 4th season rolls around. I feel like that's when we start rebuilding, because then they that was a bad season too. I don't know.
You're like, what?
I don't know.
Each season's kind of bad potentially.
It's all bad. So I don't know. But no, I feel like, and then, and then Heather came back, and then Tamara came back. And I feel like that's when OC really just, took off. And I think we finally got it right. There were some, bad seasons in there with casting and maybe just, COVID and all of that.
But these last 2 seasons, I think, are so on track. And last season, even with the John and Alexa stuff, every week it was like my favorite show to watch. And I was like, oh, this is really, really good, and everybody's firing on all cylinders. And this is why it's like at this point you have real relationships with each other, so you don't want to mess with that formula too much.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in. So you would consider doing the 20th season when that starts?
Every year I'm like, that's it. It's my last season. But
wait, are you like that right now? Are you like that's my last season?
It's like, I feel like it's like, even though I didn't have my children, but women say when they go through childbirth that at that time they're like, that's it, I'm never having any more kids. And then they have like 10 kids. So it's just in the moment, it gets very, it's heavy and it's a lot and it takes you away from your family and your kids. And, you're tired and it's dramatic. And then you step away from it for a while and you're like, oh yeah, of course I would do it again. So of course I would do season 20. Plus I feel as if I've invested so much into these relationships. Like I'm very close, not just with Gina, but Heather and I are very close. I talk to Heather almost every day, at some point, like text or phone calls. I'm close with Shannon. Jen and I are close. Like I feel like I've worked all these years and now I'm very, very invested in these relationships. And they're genuinely friends, my friends.
Will Shane Simpson be having a spinoff at any point?
He needs one. They need to just put him on a couch and just show him like.
Dude, I was like, power to the thirst buster. I'm a thirst buster man myself, and I was like, I love that Shane gets like the big gulps of the soda. But
every day.
What do you want your overall legacy to be when and if you ever decide to leave Orange County?
I would like to just leave on a high note. And that at the end of the day, I inspired women to just be confident, to take control of their lives, to be happy, to work out, to, be attorneys, to be educated, to be whatever it is that they want to be and that they feel their power. Because that's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, and I know I'm not supposed to comment on people's looks, but you do look amazing. I mean, like your hair is awesome. Like it's on point and it's just really, and I will say your health journey has been awesome to watch as well. And I don't know, you're one of those people that I've always kind of like rooted for. And I think I've told you that before, but it is so great to see you still here and thriving. And I also want to remind the people, I'm serious. That Legally Brunette podcast, if you like true crime, check it out. What did you think the Karen Reed verdict really quick as we end?
Oh, I was so happy she was acquitted. I've said like they should study her case in law school in criminal law because that was the epitome of reasonable doubt. I couldn't even believe that they tried her again the second time, that retrial. But
there was so much reasonable doubt. Like even if you think she did it, there was so much reasonable doubt.
So much. If I was on that jury, I would have never convicted her. So the jury got it right. And, it's nice to see the justice system work.
You get hooked up to a polygraph this season. Did that bring you back to any kind of legal days at all? And were you busted on any? Did you lie at all?
No, you know what? I will tell you, I have good moral character, Ryan. I am full of integrity. And
wait, is that going to be your Housewives tagline this season? Yes. I'm full of integrity.
I'm full of integrity.
And I'm tired of the BS.
Person. I can't say the same for other people, but I am, and my integrity is still intact. So
no, that's why we love you. You know what? I hope I want to interview you and Shane just about true crime one day. Okay, but we're so happy that this season it's coming back July 10th. You guys go support their podcast. Rate it 5 stars on Apple Pods and Spotify. I know you don't think you have to do that, but it really does help. Especially they do 1 episode a week, I believe. So go support Emily Simpson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.